What's up, everyone? It's the notorious Last Samurai, and today we're gonna get straight into it with a market check. And without further ado, let's begin on gold. That's it, guys. The energy is high today. The check's gonna be high quality. Let's go. Gold is locally trending up. Where is my sentiment check? We're bullish on the hourly. But are we bearish on the 2 hour? We're about to find out. We are still bearish on the 2 hour right there. We have officially SFP'd the 2 hour market structure high. Right there. Alright, I will I'll cut out the accent for now. Let's get into it. As I have said, SFP right there. Boom. Boom. Yeah, so we've SFP'd this 2 hourly high, which is still quite good for a distribution model, confirming itself upon this SFP. The only thing I don't like about this is how we have so much supply above. And with that much supply above, you bet damn right this should be getting mitigated, you know. Yeah. So yeah, I do think the supply should get mitigated or might get mitigated. That's why I'm a little bit skeptical on grabbing this short. The only thing that's kind of pro context here is the fact that we have SFP this. So we've SFP this and we can definitely do something like that. Boom. And then we flush down into this demand mitigation. All right, that is enough of the accent. Yeah, just so that that's kind of the pre-planning for gold. There's not much more I'm too willing to sort of pull together. I just want to let price do its thing. This might not even confirm itself. It might just keep coming down. But the fact that we have expanded quite aggressively here and left demand in the meantime, I do think that at least for now we'll go higher and maybe form this distribution model. So we'll see what happens there. But it also won't surprise me if we continue to go higher and we mitigate the supply above, which is a lot more of a key supply POI. Yeah, that is it for gold for now. We'll keep the ball rolling and move to silver. All right, I'm gonna pretty confidently say we're now bearish on the hourly. That's fine. Are we bearish on the 3 hour? Moment of truth, drum roll, please. We're still bullish on the 3 hour. Maybe on the 2 hour we're bearish. Still bullish on the 2 hour as well. So just the 1 hour is officially bearish here. But I'm not a fan of the current price action. We've obviously mitigated this supply to a T. So that is a beautiful supply mitigation right there. Yeah. Even a local distribution model, how's this? This is as local as a distribution model can get, but hey, I don't make the rules, but it occurred perfectly on supply, so pardon me, that is good to see. And there's obviously going to be some refined supply here, yeah. Yeah, betcha there is. Some plain supply up here. So if people are watching me for the first time, so they'll be like, what has the algorithm where has the algorithm sent me? But there is overlapping supply here, which, as we know, is a perfect supply POI. Whenever there is overlapping supply, you best believe that you're going to get a good reaction from it. So there it is, like so. We'll exit replay mode and we will pull this over so we can then set our alerts. Now I'm going to give you all a quick sneak peek. Oil, I'll check this earlier. Oil moved, like the expectational order flow moved to perfection, just like we predicted it, but it was just never a valid model because of the distance between tap 2 and 3, which you will see in a minute. But yeah, obviously I had my alerts set, and then I checked price this morning and I was like, damn, predicted it perfectly, but there was never a correct entry based on our strategy on it. All right, this is it for silver. Not a whole lot more you can really do here. Price has expanded. It's left behind demand. It's only bearish on the hourly. Everything else is still bullish, with the exception of the daily. That's it. Not a whole lot more I will be doing for silver. Maybe this becomes a potential distribution model. Maybe. We'll see what happens. All I can do for now is set my alerts. And now, as we see here, like, honestly, this is perfect. There was just never an entry. Look at price, respect that 5 in OBIF to perfection. The return to zone kind of got overruled in here. It was nice up until like around here, and then it kind of just started ranging awkwardly. But nevertheless, we got a perfect reaction from that OBIF. Obviously, we're into bullish in the short term, and then we have resumed the bearish sentiment. And as you can see, we're still overall bearish. So, yeah, that was the short term or the low time frame expectational order flow correctly predicted on oil. I've done this too many times where I'll delete everything, including my little sentiment okay, quite a bit of supply. Just be aware that this candle hasn't closed yet, and we, as always, need to double check the low time frame. Okay, so that is valid supply. Therefore, we can expect pullbacks, and we can look to short any distributions that come back up into this supply. We can definitely look for something like that, and the bearish, the bearish local order flow can continue. But for now, we will be patient. We are obviously running through this demand. Something to note, so just expect that we can eventually head towards this daily market structure low here, and potentially either SFP it or run through it as well, like we've ran through the demand, and then break to bearish. That is also a possibility, but as always, we trade confirmations, not our expectations. Just be patient. I say it day in, day out, just be patient. No setups in commodities at the moment. A lot of, I feel like maybe distribution range might form here, but here's another one we pretty much got the expectational order flow to a T, but once again, just no confirmation of the trade. If you watched yesterday's market update, you would have seen that I was quite impressed about this perfect rainbow liquidity with Asia highs, New York highs, London highs, and then the Asia highs from the day before, all untapped and unswept, and As I said yesterday, it was a matter of time until price would come up and sweep all these session highs, but we were just waiting for this liquidity to get swept and price to reverse, which never happened. And nevertheless, the expectational order flow was still spot on here. So yeah, this range is now fully invalid. So is all this supply and session highs. So now everything can go, and now we have a nice clean chart. Obviously we would have gone to bullish in the short term. We're now back to bearish. My apologies, that was on the 15-minute. We are now bullish. Yeah, we're now bullish on the hourly, and we're now bullish on the 4-hour as well. So the sentiment is obviously changing to bullish over here. Demand here is still valid. So given we're now bullish, although in order to mitigate this demand, we do have to go to bearish. Maybe temporarily, we'd have to transition to bearish, but for now the context is bullish. So I'm definitely looking for pullbacks into any form of demand and that we might be able to accumulate from, but not happening at the moment. So not too fussed on this pair as a whole now. Yeah. So I will keep the ball rolling. This chart might have to get invalidated as well, just because of the time between tap 1 and 2 and present. So tap 1 to 2 is 3 days, 16 hours. Tap 2 to now is, yeah, ranger's note is gone. That is no longer of interest. Looking at market structure, that is our market structure low on the hourly. So let me just mute my phone. Mute, and I will. Oh, no, that's fine. Actually, give me a second. All right. Yeah, sentiment is still bullish. So quickest way to verify that is not with this. On the hourly, sorry, I am referring to a bullish sentiment on the hourly. Boom, structure's broken there. Actually, there's no low here. Boom. Yeah, and now we're just ranging in between these pivot points. So that's our hourly high, or market structure high on the hourly, and that is our market structure low on the hourly. So until we go below this, we're still trending in a bullish direction on the hourly. And then to double check the 4-hour. Ooh, this could be just valid actually. No, it's not. My apologies. Inside bar candle here. So that is our 4-hourly market structure high. So we're still bearish on the 4-hour. So overall, still bearish on the 4-hour. On the daily, I would assume we are very much so still bullish. And then the weekly is bearish, I believe. Yeah. So it's a bit of like a neutral context at the moment. You got bullish on the hourly, you're bearish on the 4-hour, you're bullish on the daily, but then you're bearish on the weekly. So it's kind of like a price action is a little bit awkward. Given so, I would kind of just look for short term or like low time frame accumulations and high time frame distributions. Not a whole lot to work with. So as you know, when there's not a whole lot to work with, there's nothing. You don't really want to force anything. Yeah, honestly, there's just not a whole lot happening at the moment, and there's not much that I would like to sort of chart at the moment for this pair. I'm honestly just going to mark this liquidity here. If it's a session high, even better, but yeah, close enough. Liquidity, boom, with the London highs, oh, sorry, Asia highs just, or yesterday Asia highs just below it. Then we do have actually New York highs here, so yeah. Other than that, that is kind of it. Not a whole lot to do for AUD CHF. AUD CAD. Still bullish on the hourly. Yeah, so still bullish across the board here, and similar story, not a whole lot going on. I'm going to keep an eye out for accumulations, but there's just nothing really happening at the moment, so don't force anything. I'll set an alert there, just in case price wants to deviate this, and then we can potentially pull our range. So we will see. GBP AUD mitigated demand beautifully, really, really nicely. Did I just do the same thing? And oh no. Yeah, well, we all know this infamous accumulation, which has been going on for a bit. Yeah, we infamously missed our entry over there. Looking at market structure, we may have just shifted to bullish on the hourly. That is an awful candle. We're still bearish, guys, until we clear this high. We have mitigated everything that there was to mitigate here. We might be going even lower, so maybe this becomes something. If it does, this would actually be this would actually be quite nice to accumulate from. Straight up. If we can do something like this. Boom, mitigation. Boom. So we will see. But so far the return to zone is actually quite nice. Even from like, I don't like stretching these out that much, but if it looks clean, it looks clean. Yeah. So we will see, maybe we can accumulate. But for now, we are still very much so bearish. Are we bullish on the daily still? Absolutely. Yeah, all right. Same thing, alerts have been set. Just a matter of being patient here. GBP, JPY. So this has actually played out quite nicely. And in line with a potential extended tap. Model 1 going into a Model 2, which I will very happily take. The only thing I don't like is how fast this expansion is, but if this occurred during a session, which I have a feeling it may have, then we can obviously look at this from a manipulation standpoint. There it is, all happened during London. Now it's just a matter of what POIs can I get a confirmation from. That is liquidity to me. The second we sweep this, I'm looking for a break of structure. It's that simple. So this, we're moving this straight to the top of the pile. Yes, there is no return to zone, but this was all created during the London session, as you can see, which is very evident as market maker manipulation throughout a whole session, which we've seen happen time and time again. definitely have this demand on your chart just as a reference. And obviously, when price comes back into it, should it come back into it, then it's there. And if you get a little reaction, then there is demand here, but this demand was created during a session open, so I'm not going to take it, not necessarily not going to take it as serious, but I'm just going to be, I know that this demand was created due to a session open, so we might get a temporary bounce, and then we might continue our expectation order flow of going down. Yeah, the only thing I also don't like about this is that the rest of this doesn't actually have much of a return to zone, but you're obviously looking at the bigger picture, and if I was to zoom out, there's your return to zone right there. So this could actually be quite a nice RR play here. But yeah, for now, all I'm doing is waiting for this to get swept. And that will give me all the confluences I need for a short. So yeah, alerts have been set, and we will see what price decides to do. USD CHF. I'm actually going to get a glass of some sparkling water. Be right back. All right. So USD CHF at the moment has shifted to being bullish on the hourly. Structure was broken right there. And it's obviously bearish everywhere else, but yeah, just be aware of a potential sentiment change here with the hourly becoming bullish. This is a bit too far-fetched as a range. Yeah, not a lot. I'm too sort of, even that's been mitigated, so can definitely expect lower for now. This could have just been a temporary break of structure. Yeah, just to kind of let this range play out. Not the best price action at the moment. This might be interesting. Euro USD. So, is there a reason why I didn't take this distribution? Probably because it was in New York. Yeah. I'll tell you what, guys. Like, once again, it's happened a few times where, and it's been caught on previous streams, where Euro USD confirms a distribution model in New York. My bad, I got too ahead of myself. No, that was actually quite nice. Sorry. I was going to say it's happened a few times, and it has happened a few times where Euro USD confirms a distribution or accumulation model, but in New York, but both Asia high and low were taken, but this time this was actually perfect. Yeah, this is perfect. Asia low wasn't taken. Great liquidity low there. But obviously I was in bed at the time. So this would have been confirmed, to be precise. This is our, yeah, 15 plus 12 on was our first like real break of structure, which would have still netted us a decent risk to reward. Okay, could have been, it can be better. Break was there. You might be able to just squeeze this into like a 2 risk to reward if you want to get the break and then enter on this pullback. Otherwise, there may have been a more refined entry opportunity. Oh, we're going to go as refined as we can. So here, but maybe there's something more. I don't think there is, but we can see. No, so it would have been this. So yeah, overall, like you would have just snuck maybe like anywhere from like a 2 to like a 2.2 risk reward. This is actually quite backtest. This is actually quite backtest worthy. I'll journal this as a 2 just to play it like just a bit realistic essentially. Yeah, you'd enter like there. Stops. You can go for put your stops there or put your stops there. Let me just quickly journal this on my end. We're actually flying through this. Only 27 minutes in and we're pretty much halfway through Forex, or more than halfway through Forex if you're taking the commodities. But yeah, study your Euro USD distribution and or accumulations in the first hour of New York. You will be surprised what you can find. I've actually gone here, which was confirmed at 11:03 in pre-New York, as a matter of fact. All right, Euro USD entry would have been at like 16th of June today, midnight. And it was what, 12:06 a.m. Yeah, around that. Yeah. New York. Yeah, literally in New York AM that was. Model 2. Honestly, quality return to zone. When you can draw this like kind of like, you could probably draw it. You can get away with drawing it there. Tap 1 to 2. This might be just stretching at 7 hours 3 minutes. Tap 2 to 3. Yeah, so it's borderline just a bit extended, but given the context and given what we know with session times and Euro, you can be a little bit lenient, and as much as, the taps were a little bit extended, it's still a model you could, risk 0.5% and still get a nice entry here. Nice. Copy that. This was a TCT model 2. context at the time was, yeah, I would count that as a pro context because overall you are bearish. And then the duration of this trade from entry to finish would have been 4 hours, 50 minutes. Almost 5 hours. That is decent. Yeah, so if I was to journal this back, I would pretty much say tap 2 and 3 was 1 hour further, was 1 hour longer in duration than tap 1 and 2. However, it was still a clean Model 2, sorry. Taking out Asia low, well, with Asia low as range low. Boom. Yeah, so that's kind of what I would write down for this. Pretty clean. Yeah, we've done the journaling on this. Let's get rid of the range. Holy shit. Well, I have learned my lesson there. Give me a second. Tell you what, this has to be like the most eventful market check ever. So the vacuum fell, and the box that all the dust is in spilled everywhere. But the irony was that the vacuum fell and the vacuum was right there. So I just used the vacuum to sweep it all back up, or vacuum it all back up. Yeah, and I just had the vacuum leaned up against the wall because I vacuumed yesterday, and lo and behold, that was the vacuum telling me, put me back where I belong. Don't leave me on the wall. So there you go. But yeah, back with Euro USD. We are obviously we went to bearish it for a little bit, and now we are back to bullish. There is also supply here, which was created from that model that we just spoke about. So I do expect a rejection when supply is created from, from model here. It is market maker supply, and it is an indication of the market makers protecting their sells. So I do expect a rejection here, to be completely honest. But yeah, other than that, there's not much more. There's not much more I need to do here. Like the distribution already happened yesterday. It's not going to happen. Price isn't going to do the exact same thing 2 days in a row. It could, but less likely. But what I will do is, can I just chart this hourly OBIF right here? All right, moving on. Range invalid. So does this apply? See what I mean? It's done it again. I'm so confident that I didn't grab that, but it's just like, yeah, hasn't gone this time, has it? Was that ever a break of structure? No, still an S&P. We're still bullish on the hourly. Yeah, overall we're still quite bullish here, so expect pullbacks and accumulations. Not a whole lot to do on Euro NZD. Yeah, not too interested in price at the moment. There is this supply above. Yeah, that's kind of it. CHF JPY. What about this reaction? I think this happened. It's happened overnight, so we missed this, but I did say that we could be getting a, yeah, I remember doing this on yesterday's stream, and I said it quite confidently. If we are to get a reaction, we're going to get one here. And look at that. There's no valid model, but it's still good to see that price is respecting our key supply levels. And this refined supply actually got front ran. Nice. Other than that, we are still, if anything, we would have gone to bearish, then maybe back to bullish, maybe. Okay, no, still very much so bullish. If we can start coming back down and mitigating this demand, forming a range, doing so, that would be nice. Like that, boom. But we will see what happens. Honestly, as of now, I'm going to draw this. As a potential range. Yeah, 4 hours still bearish. So yeah, overall, this is a decent POI. We might distribute here. Only time will tell. So we will see. Let me quickly check back to GBP JPY. Yeah, still looking for a distribution there. All right, USD CAD. invalid model here. We've even front ran. Oh, not front ran, like, oh yeah, we sort of front ran this demand. POI never ended up mitigating it. I just did it again, didn't I? No, I didn't. Right there, perfect. Still bull, yeah. We're still just very, very bullish. I will happily draw a range here. See what happens, and maybe we can distribute. Very counter context, but so far the return to zone is quite nice. So if we continue doing this, then I might allow a counter context distribution, but there is so much demand below. Yeah, but then to the contrary, if we come back down, then we can potentially look at an accumulation and continuation. So alerts are set. That is gone. I can look at this as a distribution. The only thing I don't like is the fact that there is supply here, so I would much rather prefer a Model 1 than a Model 2. So Asia lows are there as well. Like, yeah, definitely, I'm definitely leaning towards a Model 2 here. I would like a Model 2. I will delete this too. Yeah, obviously, you know, higher time frame context is bearish. On the daily as well. Yeah, we're obviously approaching a key decisional POI where we can expect price to go low. I would just look at this as a potential range within a range. Hold on, guys, I can smell my pie. Give me another second. Bum, 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 bum. All right, so yeah, I can and I will look for a potential local range within a range here in a confirmation, but ideally I want some of this supply to get mitigated. Like, this supply is just too, it's just too good of supply for us to front run it and move down. Like, I just don't think that price is going to do that. So if we can firm within this range, then so be it. But preference one is, and that is actually valid extreme liquidity. Preference one is mitigating that supply. But I am willing to take a 0.5% risk short if, you know, if conditions permit themselves. Text can be at the bottom. Yeah, whereas if we sweep extreme liquidity here and break of structure, and the break of structure is nice and clean, then by all means we can short this, but I will only be risking 0.5% for this, just because there is a lot of reason to go higher. Price doesn't have to, but it has reason. Yeah, we will move this to the top as well. So the JPY pairs presenting themselves as potential shorts. I can already see maybe a little scalperino here. Scalp, which got created by a distribution itself. Perfect example of distributions creating higher time frame distributions. Although it will be set right here as price deviates it. Yeah, still bullish on the hour. Still bearish on the 4 hour, so we can expect a potential distribution here, which kind of goes hand in hand with this range actually playing out and actually deviating. So yeah, we will remain patient here on this. You know, I'm actually gonna move this to 3rd place. Let's move it up the leaderboard. GBP USD. What are we saying? Well, we've ran through demand. Well, we've broken structures to bearish. Just. But then you've broken back to bullish, so. Yeah, not a whole lot more to do there. Let's set. Wait for our levels to get hit. We ran through that. Yeah, there was nothing else I missed there. No. Yeah, that's fine. NZD CAD. Yeah, because that was our daily high. That still throws me off. Hourly. Yeah. It obviously moved to bearish and then went back to bullish. The 4 hour is bearish, yeah. Might get broken at some point, but we'll see. Alerts have been set. Well, we have mitigated demand. Similar story. I feel like we would have broken to bearish temporarily and then maybe broken back to bullish. That's our low. broke it to bearish. Still bearish for now. So we are still bearish for now. We could be getting a potential distribution. We will see. Alerts have been set. And that's it. That is Forex, guys. Well, because you made it this far into the video, I will reward you with a crypto market update. I know you guys all love crypto, so let's begin. Time to put the chair down for this one. I feel like Tony Stark every time this chair goes down electronically. Boom, we're in. All right, well, that's what we were expecting, but we did not complete the move. And that is exactly what, yeah, it wasn't, sorry, it was a scenario which I mapped out, and I also gave reasons to why this may never have happened and we might continue going higher. And that was also covered. So yeah, given we've ran through all this, I can kind of expect us to go higher, like higher for quite a bit. Also, reason being is that we have this range. So given we've broken that barrier, which is kind of my last line of defense in a way, I expect us to go quite high up until like around the 70k mark. So don't be surprised if Bitcoin does hit around that 70k mark, and if it does, don't start thinking the bull run's happening again. Or, you know, we're back, baby, it's old season's back, everything's gonna pump. You know, don't get too ahead of yourselves. I'm just trying to see what potential levels we might have where price might want to reject from, but honestly I'm not seeing any, and I do kind of think that we might actually make our way up to this supply around 72, 73k. Obviously if there's anything more refined, I'm all ears and all eyes, but I'm not really seeing anything. Like even that's been mitigated on the lower timer, but you can just use the rest of this supply. It's honestly not the cleanest. It's not really nice supply. Like price could even go, just because the fact that this isn't the cleanest supply, price could actually go higher. Yeah, there's not a whole lot the price can reject from. So all I'm kind of like looking for is that this range might just become, or price might just like start pulling back for the sole purpose of making or creating that range bound price action and not necessarily reject from a POI, and even do a thing of like rejecting, not rejecting, but like just moving back down after like ranging around EQ for a bit, which can happen. So I would like to see Bitcoin do something like that. But honestly, if it runs through the supply, I won't be surprised, because the supply isn't that strong. Yeah, it's just not that clean of supply. Yeah. So yeah, short term alt higher. Let's see what USDT dominance is doing. And also that was another thing that I wanted to mention. USDT dominance is also bearish, so, and it's also in a range. It's just in the opposite range. Bitcoin's in an accumulation range. This is in a distribution range. So same thing, like expect alts to go higher short term, but don't expect them to just, you know, old season has begun. It has not. And I can sort of see USDT dominance doing a similar thing in the sense of it just like starts ranging around EQ and then slowly starts making its way back up to complete this high time frame distribution range. And only when that high time frame distribution range is completed in line with Bitcoin's accumulation range being completed, that's when we can look at longs or even spot entries on some old pairs that are looking quite nice. So that's what I'm seeing here. So try and time this distribution confirmation around here with the Bitcoin accumulation confirmation around, we'll give ballpark like around here somewhere. So maybe August, just as a rough figure. And then August, September, you could start looking at potentially accumulating spot longs in altcoins. But yeah, and the same thing, anything can happen. So this is all given that we get the confirmations we need. So for now, short term, I expect alts to go higher. So I will look at models that favor alts going higher. ETH has pulled back into range nicely, leaving demand below. So let's see what else we have. Cake is also forming an accumulation model, so watch this space there. Not a whole lot I'm interested in at the moment. Alerts are still set. Well, this completed itself. Was this the Model 1? Because if this was the Model 1, fair play. Yeah, Model 1. The only excuse I have for not taking this is that I was sleeping. Because I pre-planned the shit out of this. Like, I pre-planned this so nicely. So nicely, guys. And we got the confirmation. Okay, I allow myself that. Yeah, so we confirmed at about 7 a.m. And that would have given us we obviously would have probably confirmed even more locally. So if you entered on the 45-minute, you were to realize a 11 risk to reward. 11 risk to reward gain. If you end on the 30-minute, my apologies. And if you entered any lower, probably in here somewhere. Oh, I feel like the risk to reward would have been nasty. Would have been absolutely nasty. You could have entered on the 5. Given the range size, 5-minute is a respectable time to enter for a 16, almost a 17 risk to reward. So, guys, seriously, this is just how powerful these models can be if you pre-plan them correctly and you have conviction behind your entries and you execute it. Because at the end of the day, we can do so much pre-planning and they can play out like this, but if we're not confident enough in executing it, or if we're asleep like I was, you know, it will only go so far. So yeah, if you were awake in your time zone and you were able to catch this, then good job. Hit me up if you did. Yeah. So that is no longer of. I'll leave this up for now just because it goes to show the strategy works. In case you were doubting me any other time, but Town not doing a whole lot. I am not interested in Tau's price action at the moment. BNB has ran through everything. Even the refined supply. Maybe we get a little counter context distribution here. Maybe. Nah, trade with the context, man. Unless we see some distributions that might occur when USDT dominance might start coming back into range, which is very much so possible. Prime example could be here actually on link. I will see how price develops, but this could be the start of a potential distribution model. So we will wait and be patient. Ton. What's happening with Ton? Okay, looks like Ton has just been stripped off Bybit, so we'll come back to Ton. Pepe. Maybe, we'll see. Sol. Same thing, like it can reject, but there is so much supply above, so I'm just gonna be patient, and there is demand below, so we can just high low for a higher high. We can do this. Boom, boom. So yeah, given that, I will chart this up just in case. You never know. That's what I always say, like, even if it looks like half potential, just chart up. You never know how price might develop later on. At the time, it might not look nice, but it can always develop to end up looking quite nice. Or at least nicer than you expected it to look. That is Sol. So we can be similar. Yeah, that is kind of fine. Ave. Like after these, big expansive moves, we can always look for pullbacks. And that is when these distribution models come in. With I don't mind the look of this. Same thing from a local perspective. Asta. I wonder what Asta's doing. Not a whole lot. Well, this could be a accumulation going into distribution. Render. Looks pretty good to distribute, to be honest. I have a feeling I looked at this before. Okay, I don't mind this. It is a little bit too stretched, but we will watch and just be very, very careful. Like really, really careful at those confirmations. So we've got supply here to watch out for. It is just a little bit, for my liking, too stretched, but we will see. Yeah, it just spent so much time out there in that deviation limit. The return to zone is pretty good. You do have demand right there, though. And if this demand is backed by any volume, high or low as well, then just be a bit careful. Yeah. It's not the cleanest, is it? The demand's clean. Demand's actually very clean. Well, GBP, JPY. It might be time, guys. In terms of any structure breaks, nothing I like at the moment. For now, it would have to be this 10-minute structure. Don't hate the player, hate the game. It's not the nicest market structure, but it's a 10-minute market structure. Yeah, I'll be paying attention to this 10-minute low, so we will see what happens. Nothing on the one that I'm too interested in. So we will see. Where were we? Litecoin, I believe. Yeah, so just to summarize render, I'm gonna have to wait and see how we break, and then I'll definitely be taking partials at this demand should I you know, yeah, there is like some supply here which we've kind of entered, but yeah, it's just not the cleanest. Litecoin at the moment, not really intriguing me in any way, shape, or form. I've got demand here. all this has been mitigated. I kind of do expect higher from Doge. It's respecting demand nicely. There's no reason for it to go lower, so I will wait. And also given them overall market context, now alts are expected to go higher, so that kind of just means the same thing for Doge. Virtual. Maybe an extended tap model here. Model 1 going into a model 2. There's no real POIs that I like at the moment here. We are building a really nice local return to zone, but like other than that, maybe if anything, this is liquidity. We might come up in here. And it is above tap 1, so I will kind of use this as valid liquidity. There's just no real supply that I'm interested in price mitigating at the moment. Yeah. Yeah, not a whole lot, to be honest. Maybe this, if anything. Which was here, actually. So yeah, we'll see what price does. Overall, I'm not too fussed. It is a semi-locally counter context move, and then you can see here, hype is absolutely pumping. Absolutely pumping. Pump it. Boom. I will let hype do its thing. This could be a range, we will see. Pump. Isn't doing a whole lot I'm interested in. Similar story to a few other alts maybe we distribute here. Quant, this has all been invalid. XMR, not too interested in. XRP, also not too interested in. It's just mitigated supply. Might start moving down for its accumulation. That is definitely something that it could do. Arrow loads have been set never less. Bitcoin Cash, not too interested in it. Even from last time I checked, it's just not done a whole lot. I am, yeah. Trump, we obviously had that distribution up here. A little bit stretched, not the cleanest distribution. It does look better when you stretch it out, but a little bit messy. Has completed itself. There is some demand here. Yeah, other than that, just wait for these ranges to play out. Render is probably our most interesting looking range, which I'll move that to the top. And then there's a lot of maybes. But other than that, the main focus is, that was really clean as well. The main focus is these JPY pairs. So we have GBP JPY, we've got that 10-minute mark structure low. We'll pay attention to how the candle closes. Just be aware there is demand created there, so we might reject and continue going higher. Man, if we get if you get a range within a range within a range, this is actually crazy. This is actually crazy. Once again, guys, don't hate the player, hate the game. Could take a very local scalp here. But there is just... Oh, actually, sorry. This is obviously being swept now. So yeah, now we can just expect the break of structure. This could actually be one of the... This could be one of the greatest generational shorts ever. If it gets confirmed. Yeah, there's just demand below, which you got to be wary of right there. That is a valid demand. If it gets mitigated now, then the world is our oyster, guys. So we will see what happens here. Then you got USD JPY as well, which we're waiting. Yeah, similar. We kind of want that extreme liquidity to get taken, ideally in a local model one. So quite a few things that are quite nice to look at with these ranges. And then was the Asia low. I'd be confident the Asia low is somewhere here. Yeah. Asia low is right there. Another fantastic liquidity target. So yeah, GBP, JPY, USD, JPY. We are on the verge of some potential generational shorts, but same thing, be patient and you take every trade with the expectation that it can fail. So yeah, that's it for now. I will go and have my pie and I will continue monitoring these two key setups for a potential entry. So thank you all for joining. I will catch you all later. Hope you've enjoyed this. It has been very informative. Subscribe if you have made it this far, and I will see you all for tomorrow's update. Peace.